Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Adrina. I am the owner and accountant here at Accounting by Adrina. And in today's video, we are going to be reviewing some end of the year financial tasks to get you organized. These are more specifically bookkeeping tasks that I'm going to be reviewing with you. So stick around. I'm also going to kind of show you along like in the QuickBooks test drive version, because there's a couple of things that I want to be really specific about, especially if you're using QuickBooks. So I'll save that to the end, but let's dive right in. To be quite frank with you, these tasks are actually things that you can be doing on a monthly basis. So it's something for you to think about leading up into a new year. Maybe this is going to be a goal of yours to do these tasks on a monthly basis so that you are not feeling overwhelmed or burdened by end of year financial tasks. So I would highly recommend getting almost all of the stuff in order ahead of the end of the year. Now, the first thing that we want to make sure we're doing is reconciling our bank accounts. Now, reconciling your bank accounts can include a checking account, a savings account, a PayPal account, a credit card account, and a loan account. So making sure that you're downloading those statements at the end of each month and saving those statements. So you want to have a digital copy of your bank statements and make sure that you have some sort of like filing system related to that. So when you download those bank statements on a monthly basis, then you will also be reconciling your all of those accounts that I mentioned in QuickBooks Online. So I'm going to bring you in here and share with you what that actually looks like. I know we've talked about it before. So just as a quick review, you're going to go over here to the gear icon. You're going to click on the Reconcile button. Sometimes it gives you this Get Started thing, and I think that's really like sometimes QuickBooks is updating the software. I often see a lot of software updates on a regular basis. So let's get reconciled. So this is the screen that you will come to in order to reconcile your accounts. Now, you would ideally have all of those accounts listed into QuickBooks Online. Now, I just want to do one quick side note. If you are using QuickBooks Self-Employed, this is irrelevant for that because they don't have this. They don't have this available for you. So, checking, savings, and then MasterCard, Visa, loan payable. So those kinds of things. Now, again, as you are reconciling your bank accounts on a monthly basis, you also want to be producing financial reports on a monthly basis. So let me show you that real quick as well. You're going to open up this sidebar, come over to the Reports tab, and you're going to want to look at the balance sheet here and the profit and loss statement. So I'm going to go ahead and click on those. And this is something that you want to review on a monthly basis. And here's why I think it's really important as a business owner to review this on a monthly basis. The more you review it, the more comfortable you are looking at this, reviewing it, and identifying things that could potentially be off. So I would highly encourage you, if you don't already have a habit of downloading the profit and loss statement on a monthly basis, to start adding that to your calendar and doing that on a consistent basis. That is really going to help you out in the long run. So if it comes to kind of like this summary page, I like to personally see it as like by month column. So you can click on this display month and then click on what was that? Run report here. Just one sidebar, the report feature in QuickBooks Online will be changing at some point soon. So keep an eye out for that and see if you can get any training around it, because that's going to be really important for you. So as you can see here, the business didn't start until July of this year. So those beginning months are a little bit irrelevant, but it's good information to know. So that way, if you have a bookkeeper attached to your QuickBooks Online, they should already know that January through June, there's no data. So then as you get to looking at these, you will see the fluctuations in each of the accounts. So that is something really important to do on a monthly basis. This is something that I like to provide my clients on a monthly basis, so they become more familiar with it as they're reviewing their books as well. Now, if you wanted to get a little more granular in terms of like what the actual transactions are, you can actually look at the income details. So in QuickBooks Online, if you click on like this total here, it's actually going to show you all of the details line by line. And so this is actually the perspective that is going to be changing. I didn't realize they had it in the test drive version yet. So that is really interesting. Um, once I become an expert in this, I'll definitely do a video on it. Actually, I know that there's another YouTuber out there. His name is Hector. I'll go ahead and link his video below if you are interested in getting ahead. So I'm just going to go ahead and click switch to classic. And this way we can see all of the transactions line by line. And then that way, if you see something that's off, like this one is off from all of the other lines, your eyes kind of draw to that automatically. And so that's an easy way for you to be like, okay, what is this? And is this the right income account for this? So this will also really help if something is miscategorized. So then you can go back and have your bookkeeper or you can update that. Right here would be a great time to look at anything coded to cost of goods. So I don't actually see anything in, oh, just one little item here. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Make sure that's coded properly. Okay. Yeah, so Intuit's going to ask for feedback if you don't like the old or the new style. They want to know what's happening, why you don't like it. Okay, so these are probably products that get sold through the company's business. So those become cost of goods sold. And so those look fine. This is kind of what you would want to do on your own. You would automatically recognize the vendor, you would recognize the amount and all of that stuff. So you just want to make sure that you're looking for something that doesn't belong in that account. Right now is also a great time to review your expenses. I'm going to go ahead and remove out the first 6 months here so that way we can have a better perspective. Okay, here we go. This is much better. And I'm definitely doing this at the beginning of December. You're going to want to go back and do this in January for your final numbers. So once your bank statement uploads to your bank and you reconcile your accounts for December, then you're going to want to do all of this review again in January. So this is a preliminary review. This is also the time where you can look at all of the expenses and make sure that everything looks copacetic to you, like it makes sense. You're like, okay, why was there only a rent in October for $900? And how come it didn't happen all the other months? So those are going to be questions that you're going to want to ask. Also, if there is anything coded to miscellaneous, let's go ahead and edit that right away because there really shouldn't be anything coded to miscellaneous. So you want to see what's happening here. Okay, so this is insurance. I mean, I can just draw that out right away. So we can go here and code that to insurance. Oh gosh, there we go. Okay, save and close. This is okay. Yes, you want to modify it. All right, so we got that out of there. Tim Philip Masonry. I think this is probably a subcontractor. So I think we're going to go ahead and put that to subcontractor. Okay, so there's no account for it. So we would want to create an account. Contractor, it's going to be an expense. And let's do, I don't see a contractor. So let's do legal and professional fees. Save and close. Yes. All right. So we got that out of miscellaneous. Next, Hicks Hardware. So this is probably supplies. So, I mean, I could understand why someone would want to put this to miscellaneous, but let's go ahead and be specific and write down supplies. especially since it's a smaller number, it's $250. Anything larger than that, you would want to be, especially if you're like buying something like related to like your business, if it's going to be used in your business, like for this person, maybe a lawnmower or something, you would want to have that as a separate account. All right, so we cleared miscellaneous. Now we can have a better perspective of our profit and loss statement. So everything looks good. You've done your profit and loss review. You've looked at your detailed income, cost of goods sold, and you've also looked at your expenses. Next up, I told you you want to go back and look at your balance sheet as well. So we're going to quickly review the balance sheet. Now, the balance sheet is just a summary of all of your balances at a specific date and time. So as of December 3rd, your checking account balance is such and such, your savings account is such and such. So it's the same as if you logged into your bank account at the end of November, like November 30th, whatever that number is, that's what's going to show up here on your balance sheet. So that's just another double check that you can review and make sure that you have those numbers correctly input into QuickBooks. All right, next you're going to want to review both accounts receivable and accounts payable. So those are kind of going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge because accounts receivable could be anything that's outstanding that you billed for. So at this point in time, especially if you're reviewing it a little bit earlier in December, this is a great time to touch base with your customers, with your clients, and say, hey, what's up? Why aren't you paying this invoice? It's been outstanding for, X number of days. So it's a great time to touch base with those people and to see. So there should be, ideally, you would want this account to be zero, meaning anything that you billed for has already been paid. So it's an in and an out, and that's net zero. So it looks like there's quite a bit outstanding. This is a large one, so I would definitely touch base with some of these vendors to make sure everything is copacetic with them, get any updates that they might have, so on and so forth. Next, you'll want to look at any of these other asset accounts. Just do some digging and investigation to see, what is going on here and if those numbers look right to you. It's okay to have a balance, don't get me wrong. It is okay to have a balance, but you just want to make sure that balance is accurate. So there's some inventory items here. Okay, so that's fine. It is what it is, So let's go back here. Let's take a look here. Now, sometimes if you're using like a separate system for your payments, so like Stripe or something outside of QuickBooks, then they'll use an account called Undeposited Funds. And it's kind of like a middleman, so to speak, of billing and payments. So you'll see the different transaction types here, deposit, sales receipts, payments, so on and so forth. As long as like you see the ins and the outs, like these were billed, and then there's some payments here. So this 140 matches this 140, this 78.75 matches this 78.75. So that's kind of how you would look at this account and make sure that if there is anything outstanding, of course, it's going to show up in AR, but this is just kind of like your double check. Okay, so that is those two accounts. And then this is the original cost of the truck. So the business owns a truck, which is interesting that I don't see any depreciation. So that would be a question that you would want to ask your bookkeeper or your accountant. Sometimes you would want to get that number from your CPA. So if you do have like a vehicle, you would want to see depreciation hit in December, especially if you're on a calendar year basis. But let's see when he bought this. Okay, so he bought it in October, which would mean there would just be a little bit of depreciation happening for this year. And that wasn't even on my list. That was a bonus. Okay, so if there's anything else outstanding, like this loan payable, looks like a Board of Equalization payable. So you'll want to touch base with your statements and see when, the billing is going to happen and if you have enough cash for those billings. Long-term liabilities, it's notes payable. So maybe this is over the course of 10 years or something like that. So again, some of these things I would just automate, like if I have a $25,000 notes payable over the course of 10 years, I would just have, like $250 every month going out of my bank account on an automatic basis. So I don't even have to think about it. I know it's getting done. Yeah, it's just so much easier. It's off your mind, all of that stuff. And lastly, on this number here, you just want to make sure that the net income here is also the net income of your profit and loss statement. So that's kind of how those two reports interact with each other. All right, so let's review. What have we done so far? For our year-end checklist, basically, we've reconciled all of our accounts. We've done a profit and loss review, including an income detail, cost of goods sold, expenses. We've done a balance sheet review, including AP, AR, our balance accounts, inventory. So next, we just want to review any loose ends. So I already mentioned about creating your digital filing system. So that's on my list as well. So I'll just mention that again. It's really important to have a digital filing system. I would actually have two. So you have some in like two different locations digitally. I cannot stress enough like how important that is because like especially for me, if I'm traveling, I'm using my laptop. I'm not using my desktop. And so I need to have that being portable with me. So I have my files with me. It's also a safe measure just in case your computer crashes, which, happens, unfortunately. So it's always good to have a backup. Now the fun part, if that wasn't fun already for you. So it is highly, 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 highly important to get all of your W-9s together in anticipation of, filing your 1099s. There is a report in QuickBooks that you can download. Here it is. 1099 contractor balance detail and then summary. So you can actually pull these reports and run them ahead of January so that you see who your contractors are. Here's something that I would do, to be honest, because I feel like this is going to give you more information. Oh, geez. Okay. Okay, here it is. So the report is transaction detail by account and switch to classic view because that's what I'm used to. But here's what I want to say. This report is something I actually download on a monthly basis for my clients and I send it to them. So they have all of their details for every month. And the reason why I think this is important is because not only does it create like a backup, like line by line transaction detail backup, but it's also good for my clients to review this, to get their eyes used to this report so they can see their transactions line by line. A lot of this stuff is probably not going to hit home to me. It's like, okay, well, wait, why is this? Oh, MasterCard. Sorry, I got distracted here. But, they would be able to let's just take a look at last month. And they would be able to see every single transaction. So here's all the transactions coming out of the checking account. Here's everything coming out of savings. Oh, it's everything coming out of the savings account. Here's the AR account. Here's inventory. I mean, it is just extensive. It's a lot of detail, don't get me wrong, but this is so important to review. And so what I would do is print out this report every month and look at it just for the sake of looking at it. This is something that you can identify quickly if it's miscategorized. And by doing all of this work leading up to the end of the year, it's going to make your tax season go by so much more smoother. So I highly, highly, highly recommend getting yourself used to this report and downloading it and printing it out, or downloading it and, uploading it to Google Sheets so that you can see it online. That's what I like to do. Once you download it, you're able to identify who you're going to actually 1099. So it looks to me like this person would need a 1099. This person would need a 1099. So even if you zero in on this legal and professional fees account, then you would see, okay, these are the people I need to reach out to. If I do not already have a 1099, a W-9 for them, then I need to get a W-9. And then with that information, you would go ahead and go to the vendor file and you would update the vendor information. I think I clicked on the bill. So let's try that again. Oh, maybe it just goes through that link. Okay, so let's go to Robertson and Associates. So QuickBooks kind of changed their menu around a little bit. So I'm getting used to Robertson and Associates. So once you receive the W-9 from the contractor, you would go to their vendor file here. Okay, Robertson and Associates. And you would, there's going to be an edit button. There you go. And you would go ahead and update the vendor information here with the W-9 information. I cannot tell you how crucial and important this is, because QuickBooks is going to use this information in order to produce the 1099 come 1099 filing season. So then this is where you would enter all the pertinent information. You can even add the W-9 here as an attachment, their tax information, and then you want to make sure you click on that track payments for 1099 so that it gets included into all of the 1099 payments. You can even choose a default expense account that you want for each of these expenses to be categorized by. So that is highly, highly, very, very, very important for you to do. Make sure your vendor files are updated. Make sure your vendor and your customer files are updated. Okay. Yes. So it's not available here in this test drive version, but what I want to say is if you go back to your transaction detail by account report, in the column that says name, you want to make sure that under the expense accounts that there's a name for each item there. So let's just quickly go back so I can show you what it looks like, because it's really important. I cannot spell. There we go. So when you're looking at the transaction detail by account, I'm just going to say for this year so you can get an idea of what it looks like with a lot of lines of data. But under this column where it says name, you just want to make sure that in the expense section, which is not this part, this is all like balance sheet items. Okay, we're getting there. Here we go. So in this section here, starting with the income, not there, there we go. You want to make sure this column here, all of the vendors are filled in. Sometimes in the QuickBooks Online version that you have, there is an item, like a button that says Books Review, and then you can see if there is any vendor that does not have a payee attached to it. So that's really important to make sure all of your expense transactions have a payee attached to it. I cannot stress that enough, because I often see sometimes when my clients want to, help with the bookkeeping, that they leave that vendor name blank. And I'm like, oh, we need to go back and update that, because it's so important to have the vendor file updated. I cannot stress that enough. So very important. So right now I don't see anything that is blank, which is great. So everything has been updated. Your vendor files have been updated. At this time, you also want to make sure that you calculate any of your business mileage for your business. And then also an extra step that you can do, especially if you're like an entrepreneur, solopreneur type person, and you have a personal bank account, personal credit card, business bank account, business credit card, you want to be reviewing your personal accounts to see if there's anything you're like related to your business that you need to categorize in your business. So essentially pay yourself back from your business. So you want to make sure you capture all of those expenses as well. And then if you want to really go the extra mile, you're going to want to create a backup of your financial data. So similar to what I was talking about already, downloading the information and saving it somewhere, preferably in 2 different places digitally. So that way you can have peace of mind that if QuickBooks goes down, you still have the information that you need. All right, friends, I know this was a bit of a longer video. Thank you for sticking through with me. I hope this was helpful. Yeah, if you need anything else related to this video, if you have any questions, feel free to leave it down in the comments below. Also, make sure that you're subscribed to my newsletter so you can be the first to know of any new YouTube videos coming out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.